Hey everyone, this is darkfireslide here with a new series today that I'm going to call Games I Like. And first on our list is Torchlight 2. Torchlight 2, of course, is a action RPG game. And what we're going to do today is demonstrate, well, why I like this game, why I think it's a good game, and why I think you should potentially pick it up. You could call this a review of sorts, but really it's more of just a recommendation. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and hop into the game. Now, one thing I want to make clear about this new series is that it's going to be from the perspective of somebody who's actually put a lot of time into the game. So it's not like like a lot of reviews are, which is just like the first 20 hours or something. I put a substantial amount of time into this game, and any other game I plan to put on this list, I also plan to have put a substantial amount of time into. But they're games I don't necessarily want to make it like a series out of. Though I have thought about doing one for Torchlight 2, but at the same time, if so, not yet. I'm pretty tied up with EU4 at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. So, that being said, let's go ahead and look at some of the main features of the game. Okay, so Torchlight 2 is an action RPG. We have 4 classes to pick from. We have the Ember Mage, which is your mage class. It encompasses all things you could possibly want to do that are magical. We have the Berserker, which is I would say a non-standard, warrior class that generally excels at doing just high amounts of melee damage for the most part. Then we have the engineer, who covers a wide variety of roles, but generally focuses on tanky type things as well as healing, but has a good option for offense as well in the two-handed weapon department. And finally, we have the Outlander, which is I guess you could call it's a ranged class, though you could potentially build it into a melee class if you really tried. The Outlander is sort of this weird mix of different abilities and stuff, and it's probably one of the more difficult class. Actually, it probably is the most difficult class in the game to play, in my opinion, but that depends on how you build it. We have a lot of options, male, female, if we want to do that. Like, not the most customization options in the game, but let's be honest, it's an action RPG. It doesn't really matter all that much what you look like. Especially considering that this is an isometric game, much like Diablo. So we're going to name our character here Derp. We're not actually going to play this, by the way. I'm going to load up a file to show the actual gameplay. Then you also get a pet. You can choose between a lot of different things if you want. You can have an alpaca. How many games do you know where you can have an alpaca companion? Come on. And you can randomize the name. I got Pancakes once as a name. Professor the Alpaca sounds like a beautiful name. And I think that's pretty much it. And then, yeah, you have 4 different difficulties: casual, normal, veteran, and elite. I've beaten the game multiple times on veteran, and I can say safely that if you're looking for a challenge, the veteran and elite difficulties on this game are exceptionally tough, and you will find a great deal of challenge there if you're looking for that. As well, there's a hardcore mode where if you die, it is over permanently, and you lose that character. And everything that they have. But that may not be as bad as you might think, and I'll show you why in just a second. Alright, so we are going to play our... I have gotten this character. Okay, it loaded up our new character for some reason. Well, that's embarrassing. I didn't actually mean to do that. Right, so we're gonna delete Derp, because we don't actually want to play Derp. Oh, he's dead. I feel awful now, but anyway, we're gonna play our Outlander Rose here. Most of the way through the game. Get to about level 50, 55 in one playthrough. There is a New Game Plus as well. It'll take you about 10 to 20, 30-ish hours to get through the campaign, depending on how quickly you play and what difficulty you're on, of course. In addition to a New Game Plus, there is also a... I don't know why I'm walking. In addition to a New Game Plus, there is a variety of procedurally generated dungeons once you beat the game that you can go in and get loot from basically forever. So, limitless content. As well, the modding community for this game is very, very strong. And I don't actually have any of those mods installed at the moment, but if you're looking for modability, I think there's a mod that adds like 8 new classes, tons of new loot for those classes, and it's out of control. So anyway, here we are in town, and we have a wide variety of things we can do. Now, this is pretty late in the game, but here are some of the features you can look forward to. Of course, you've got your weapon and armor merchant. And I will say that this game is pretty good about keeping your loot up to date. I know a lot of games of this genre have an issue where the things that are being sold at the shop are never as good as the things you'll find on the ground, and that is to a degree true in this game, but if your gear is really out of date and you just haven't had a good drop, you can always check out your vendor, and he may have something that can cover you for a little bit until you get that, perfect drop. As well, we have a wide variety of other things. We have a gambler. Basically, how this works is if we have a wide selection of different weapons that we can choose from here. We have, claws and swords and great hammers. Everything is great in this game. I just want to point out it's not just a sword. It's not a claymore. It's a great axe, and it's a great sword and a great axe and a great hammer. It's just all great, and then. But how the gambler works anyway is you pay a pretty hefty sum of gold, and you get a random item that may be awesome, but may also suck. In addition, we have a transmuter, and typically what you use this guy for is if you have some potions that are out of date, for example, you can throw them at this guy, basically, and it'll convert like 3 of your older potions into the new level of potion. So it's it's kind of like recycling in a way, and you can also do that with the gems that you pick up in the game, which can be used to augment your weapons and armor in varying ways, either with like an elemental enchantment or other various effects, including but not limited to percentage bonuses to damage and armor, for example. We have an enchanter. This guy will, for a fee, of course, depending on the item we choose, give us a enchantment for our item. As you can see here, we have already added enchantments to this commanding desert panoply. If you're into games where the names can be as ridiculous as that, then this is definitely the game for you. So, anyway, that covers a lot of our basic merchants. We also have a merchant who sells, like our gems that we were talking about, for a fairly hefty sum depending on the price, on the type of gem. And as well, there's another unique thing in the game called spells, which I'll explain in a second, that you can also buy from that guy. I believe this guy, and then yeah, there's a general goods merchant, of course. You have your, sometimes you'll find items that you can't just, figure out what they are by looking at them, so you have to use an identify scroll. And for anyone familiar with Diablo, there is a waypoint portal scroll, a scroll of town, that whole ordeal is definitely in this game. One interesting feature of this game is barring a respec potion, which may or may not be a mod feature. I don't recall ever picking one up, but a friend mentioned it to me. In this game, what's interesting is you can respec your character to a degree.
Everything okay?
In town, there will always be a person you can respec with, but you can only respec the last 3 skills you picked up. So, choose wisely, unless you find one of those potions. As well, with our items, there are 2 people we can go to. Say we find a better gem that we want to put in one of our items. I think they're actually called, they're called embers in this game, or just socketables, but I call them gems still. You can, if you don't like one that's already in your armor, like this one we've got a plus 4% to all damage, say we wanted to replace it instead with this gem here, which would give us 24 health recovery per second, which is pretty substantial. We would talk to this guy, which would break the gem inside the item, and, free up the slot in the item. And then we have the opposite, which destroys the item but gives you the gem back. So you have to make a choice when it comes to that, which is pretty cool. Alright, next thing we have is our pet. What's cool about pets? Well, first of all, it's a pet, and it's going to follow you, and it's going to love you, of course. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want, like, a wolf or an alpaca or whatever to go on an adventure with you? That's what I think. But anyway, pets are pretty awesome in this game, and there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, they have their own set of stats. They are, generally speaking, very tanky, and are definitely a help and not a hindrance. They are not a liability by any stretch of the imagination. And for classes like the Ember Mage and the Outlander, who fight mostly from distance, having that pet means that you can play in single player without having to constantly dodge back every 5 seconds, or, kite your enemies all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon. Which is amazing. As well, it says here, pet equipment. Your pet has an inventory, which is great because it effectively doubles the amount that you can actually carry. As well, while you're out in the field, and it's really cool that you can do this, there is a send pet to town button, which will send them to town, and it will have them sell every item in their inventory. and get you that gold for free so that you don't have to go back to town every time you want to sell something. If you are in town and you have your pet, there's a sell all button, which we're going to do and get 3,000 gold from, which is great. We're going to sell the rest of this stuff because our build only really promotes the use of pistols. And if you're somebody who's into builds, this game definitely has them. Each class has 3 different skill trees, each of which having a wide variety of abilities, both useful in single player and in multiplayer, both of which are exceptionally fun, I found. And we're just going to go over our build real quick here. We have a very simple one, and it's based all around passive. So Outlanders get an ability that raises ranged weapon damage bonus, which is true for every ranged weapon, including, it says bows, crossbows, pistols, and wands, but it also includes shotguns, and I believe, and wands, which is an interesting concept, because while this class can just be, like, a typical, like, archer from a other action RPG, it can also use wands if you build it a certain way, which is really cool. There's a really in-depth way that the actual character statistics work. But what we've done is to synergize with this, because it gives a ranged weapon damage bonus and an increase to range to bows, crossbows, pistols, and wands. Outlanders also get a ability called Akimbo, which increases the damage you do while dual wielding, and it gives you a percentage higher chance to do what's called an execute. And when you execute, it's when you attack with both weapons while you're dual wielding. So when you're doing that, you can potentially have extremely high DPS while doing that, which is awesome. And going along with that, we've also built our passives, and this is where we kind of get into how things are good in both single-player and multiplayer. There isn't a single skill in this game that isn't, good in some way, for both single-player and multiplayer. Our first passive here is Dodge Mastery, which is just going to give us a straight bonus to dodge, which is awesome. This passive gives a chance for enemies to explode when we kill them with our weapons, which will do a very nice chunk of damage of AoE, which is great because we don't have a lot of AoE abilities as an Outlander. And finally, we have this last ability called Share the Wealth, and this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. This ability, I'll just go ahead and read it. You share a percentage of your charge benefits with all pets and allies within 16 meters, and you gain the same percentage as an additional bonus to your own benefits. Now, what is that? Well, every class in Torchlight has this thing here, which is called a charge bar, and it does different things for every class. For the Outlander, the more our charge bar gets filled, it will give us a percentage bonus to casting speed, dodge chance, critical hit chance, and attack speed, up to 10%. What this ability does is shares that, those bonuses 40% with, our pet and any teammates we would have, as well as adding that shared benefit to ourselves. So it's helping our allies, but it's also giving us increased, attack speed, dodge chance, cast speed, and critical hit chance, which is amazing for us because it synergizes really well with the rest of our build. And then lastly, we put a few points into this ability here, which just raises our elemental damage a little bit. Nothing special to see there, but it's an integral part of anyone trying to do a wand build with an Outlander, for example, because wands do elemental damage. That being said, and being mostly a ranged class, we've decided to focus mostly on dexterity. And Torchlight 2 uses 4 stats. We have strength, dexterity, focus, and vitality. Strength increases weapon damage and critical damage. It is all about just physical damage. And generally speaking, if you're playing somebody who focuses mostly on weapon damage, you'll be dumping all of your points into strength, for sure. For somebody like us, we focus mostly on dexterity, and, well, why is that? Because we have a very high attack speed. And it's important for us to have dexterity because in this game you can do something called fumble your attack. And fumbling reduces your damage by a considerable margin. Now, because our dexterity is so high, we have a 69%, and yeah, I know, 69%, percent chance to recover our attack, which means that we will only lose about 30% of our damage when we fumble an attack. Starting out, I think it's normally like 10% of your normal damage when you fumble, which is pretty awful. But that's okay because most of the classes that you don't want dexterity in don't have high attack rolls, or high attack speeds, I should say. So, but that being said, it's usually helpful for anybody. At the same time, though, for the other classes, you wouldn't really want to build that way. Focus is next, and it's going to raise any kind of magic damage. And what that means is any of these abilities that do like a set amount of damage. Like our glaive throw ability here says it does 454 to 636 poison damage, which improves with our player level. Focus is going to increase the actual amount of damage that does. Any ability that says it does like a set amount of damage, which will always raise with level, by the way. No ability in this game just does straight damage, so you don't have to worry about, if you want to focus on having all active abilities, that's fine, because you can, put points into them, make sure they're doing the maximum amount of damage for your level, and they will always improve with your level, so they're always going to be relevant. Even this level 1 skill here. And what's interesting about the active skills is they come in tiers. For every 5 points you put into this, up to the max of 15, which is the most any skill can have, every 5 points, for example, on this glaive ability, our glaive is going to rebound to different targets additional times. In addition to the damage bonus, the movement speed penalty our enemies take, and the increased charge we get from throwing it. So, as you can see, there's a lot of different synergies and things of that nature that we, can talk about in this game. And I know, we haven't actually showcased any of the gameplay yet. I am going to leave a link in the description to kind of have you jump ahead, since I know that not everybody is interested in that, and they just want to see things get killed, and that's fine, because that's what we're here to do today. So, alright, we're going to talk to this guy. We just finished a quest for him. The dialogue is not a strong point in this game, I must say, but, that's fine, because it's an action RPG. You aren't going to read the text anyway. At least I hope not. Because I think you're missing the point if you're doing that. Now, what I like to do anyway is, if we get a decision like this where we don't really have any items that are particularly useful to us, we just pick up the item that's worth the most, we sell it. So yeah, those are kind of the main action RPG features of this game. Now, why do I like it? Why do I think that this is such a great game? And I never got around to spells. Right, I'll do spells real quick, and then I'll tell you why I like this game so much. Okay, so in addition to all the skills we just showed you, you have these things called spells. And spells are passives and active abilities that you can get that do certain special things that are kind of universal. Like, for example, we have the animal handling spell, which is just it's always enabled. It's a passive that's going to give plus 8% to pet and minion damage, armor, and 16% decreased pet town travel time, which means that every time we send our pet back to sell our stuff, he's going to get back faster. It means we can get on with our life more quickly, or not die, depending on whether or not we're advancing without our pet. That being said, we can also have a useful one here, and this is great for us. It gives a -2 to ranged equipment requirements, since equipment does have a requirement. And it gives plus 8% ranged weapon damage, which for us is huge. So that's awesome. And then we have a heal self ability and an adrenaline ability that has a chance to activate whenever we get hit. Now you can also give your pet spells, and what's great about giving your pet spells is, say you're not the best person about using active abilities, well, you can just give them to your pet and they'll go up there and they'll cast them for you. So that's pretty great. But anyway, so why do I like this game so much? Well, I'm not going to make the obvious comparison to Diablo 3, because I don't think it's, yeah, they're the same genre, but that just sparks an entire huge, nasty debate that I don't really want to get into. But what I will say is, a lot of the time, the most fault people can find with this game is the art style. And I think that if the worst thing about your game is the art style and not the gameplay itself, then you've probably got a pretty good game on your hands. Alright, so we're actually going to get into some combat here. And the realm is divided into two, basic parts for the most part. You have your kind of open world, procedurally generated areas that are going to have random enemies scattered throughout with various loot of varying descriptions. And I'm playing poorly because... Well, I'm not playing too poorly, because I'm talking and, reviewing as I'm playing this, but... Which maybe isn't the most professional move, but hey, it works for me. Now we've got a very high DPS build here, so as you can see, we shred through most enemies, but we basically have no health ourselves. Now, as we can see here at the bottom, our charge bar is full, so it's going to be giving us all those 10% chance, or all those 10% bonuses. And, for example, that's going to raise our dodge chance to 69% total, which is just absolutely astounding that we're basically dodging 70% of every attack that comes our way. Definitely a good game for a min-maxer, but even if you're not, and you're not into the, that hardcore of a, like building a character and stuff, the game is still very accessible for anybody else who wants to play it, I would say. Maybe not at the higher difficulties, but definitely at the lower difficulties like we're playing it right now. It's actually pretty easy for us because we built so hard. Now, saying that, I'll probably end up dying at some point, and I'll make a complete fool out of myself, but that being said, it feels easy. So yeah, we're just going to kind of explore this area, and yeah, so what I love about this game is just how fully fleshed out it is. Everywhere you go, you're going to be fighting, a mix of both new enemies and, some older enemies too. And each act has its, own theme, right? I understand it's getting a little bit loud. I probably should, I'll go ahead and lower the volume a little bit. This game is rather obnoxiously loud, so, bear that in mind if you're trying to play in multiplayer or something. If you even, which is a shame because the soundtrack for this game is actually really, really good. I think it's definitely one of the highlights of the game here. A lot of very typical action RPG things going on here, but one thing I will say that I definitely love about this game is in the multiplayer you have everyone gets their own loot drops. Everyone sees their own loot, and you don't have to worry about like stealing or anything. Or if you are one of those assholes who goes around and steals everyone's loot in multiplayer, you're not going to terrorize anyone because everyone has their own separate loot that they get. Those things are really annoying. I'm not going to lie to you right now. I hate those things. They run up to you, they scream, and they blow themselves up. Is that a nod to terrorism? I don't know. I'm sorry, that joke was in poor taste. Anyway, what I like about this game a lot is the skill tree is very in-depth, as I've shown you. And there's a lot of opportunity to both build your character from a, actual, character standpoint with skills and passives, and also to build it from a loot perspective as well. So it really feels like a fully fleshed out RPG, which is something I feel like is missing from a lot of games these days. Either you build your character or you build loot. There's not really an in-between. And there are a lot of different skills to choose from, so there's just so much replayability in this game, I think. And it's definitely, worth the experience. And the best part is, at full release, this game came out, it was $20. I don't know what it is right now off the top of my head. But I've put 200 hours into it at this point, and I can safely say it was worth every penny. I didn't even get it at full price. I got it for $5 in a Steam sale. And I do not regret it at all, to be completely honest with you right now, because I've spent so much time playing this game by myself and with friends, trying out different builds. I guess we'll pick up the shrine. No reason not to, right? Playing this game by myself and with friends, and just having a hell of a time, It's fun whether you're playing with other people or not, and it really just encompasses the action RPG in its entirety, I think. And it's such a great game with a great modding community, and if you are a fan of this genre, you owe it to yourself to play this game, I think. I mean, there's just nothing like this level of carnage of turning people into little giblets and, by the virtue of shooting them. Okay, now here's one thing that's really cool about this game. That little purple monster over there. Oh my god. Right, so, I knew this was going to happen. Because we have no health. We kind of got one-shotted by that troll there. So, we're going to resurrect at the entrance of the area. We'll lose a little bit of gold. But it's not a big deal. We probably could have gone back to town and resurrected that way. But like I said, I'm not even paying attention because I'm trying to praise this game, right? And this game is actually pretty hard if you don't pay attention. It's definitely a challenge, I would say. That or I'm bad, but I'd like to think I'm not bad. I put a lot of time into this game after all. There we go. Alright, so that monster we killed, is called the Phase Beast, and it opens up phase portals, and what these are is they're nifty little side missions that usually involve a lot of loot. Now, our mission here is to blow up or kill the 3 witches. which may not be as easy as it sounds. Our health just is getting shredded. We really need to pick up some better armor at some point. We may need to go back to town even to look into our options. Now, as you can see, the only other active ability I have with this build is this this leap ability, basically, which helps us get out of like a jam, right? And but it's, you know, it's skill based too, because it's you have to point the mouse where you actually want to like leap backwards from. But hey, there we go, one witch down. The game has a very steampunk feel to it. Lots of guns and cannons and swords and shields and all sorts of things of that nature. Yeah, definitely steampunk, I would say, is the theme of this game, and it does it very well. A lot of people rag on the art style of this game. I personally don't find it in poor taste at all, but then again, they're comparing it to Diablo, which just has a much more grim aesthetic to it. But like I said, you know, if the only thing that people don't like about your game is that it, you know, the aesthetic isn't necessarily what they want it to be, then, you know, what's the big deal, right? Alright, well, hey, we're successful. We picked up a orange item here. Picked up an engineer-only helmet, which gives a lot of health and stuff, but that's not really ours. That being said, we're going to go ahead and go back. And we're going to use one of our town portals, head back to... And one thing I love that this game does, and I have to show you, because it's really cool. Where is it in this place? There they are. Okay, so you have a stash where you can put like items and stuff and spells and weapons and armor and all sorts of good things. But you also have a shared stash that all your characters can use. And this is really cool because if you're playing through the game as one class, you don't have to, you know, go to multiplayer, give your item to someone else, and then play a different character just to get your item. You could just throw it in this box, and then all your characters have access to it. And it doesn't break the game because you have, you know, their level requirements on all the items, and, you know, or if not level, then stat requirements. So that being said, I think we sell this. It doesn't look to be particularly good. It's 4 levels lower than we are, which is generally not a very good sign. And we're going to give all the junk to our pet. Now, I'm just assuming that these, you know, non-magical pistols are worse than our equipped pistols. I could be wrong, but I wasn't. But generally speaking, you know, it's the typical RPG thing of if it's not magical, it's worse. If it's not magical and it's better, then that usually means you probably should have updated your loot a long time ago. At least in my professional opinion as a action RPG player. Alright, so we're just going to sell those things up. We'll check the vendor here, see if there are any good spells. These are okay. Nothing particularly catching my eye today. Do we gamble? I think we'll gamble. Just to show how it works. What do we want to get? I mean, our gloves are pretty crap at this point. I think we go for gloves. Let's. All right. So yeah, this is going to cost us 3,289 gold. And what do we get? A green gold, or not a green gold, a green pair of gloves with +6 focus and 5.5 health recovery. Now we focus mostly on dexterity because that's going to give us the extra dodge bonus and critical chance that we need to really just crank out the damage. So those are terrible for us. Not so great for us either. It's really hard to replace the plus 20% poison damage and 2% experience increase of these current gloves that we have. But we're trying to, you know, roll some better gloves here, and none of these are any good. So we basically just wasted, you know, like 9,000 gold on this. But that's okay, you know, it's the chance we take. So that being said, we're gonna go ahead and check out the merchant here, see if he's got anything of note. Not really what we're looking for. Not really what we're looking for. And it happens. These gloves have like, you know, they're twice as, you know, well armored as the ones we have, but it just isn't doing anything for us. Now these are perfect for us, I think, because it's a higher dexterity bonus and a higher armor value than what we currently have equipped. So we're going to get these agile mail shoulders. And just showing here that, you know, it is a game where you can actually get better weapons and armor from the shops. Now, you're never going to find, like, orange items, which I think is the highest level in this game, from the shops. But, you know, you can replace gear that isn't so good by doing this. And we're going to go ahead and use the gem saver here, I think, because we have replaced this suit of armor. Not that we really needed to, because we already have these. Because we already have another duplicate in our inventory anyway, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Just to save it in case we get another socketed item. And let's see if we can get anything else here from our friend, the weaponsmith. Okay, so I like our boots because they give us a lot of elemental resistance. That's, you know, 144, I think. Elemental resistance of all kinds, as well as the socket and the plus 4% to ranged weapon damage bonus. So I don't think we replaced those just yet. But I think we do need to get rid of these gloves, unfortunately. Now these gloves are pretty cheap, only about 1,500 a piece. So I think what we do is we see whether the vitality is going to give us more armor or if the actual armor is going to give us more armor. So let's give these a shot. But I think we go with the vitality anyway because they have 2 sockets. Let's give that a shot. Right, so we put on the gloves that just give bonus to armor, and we have 244. Or we do the ones that give us vitality, it's 241. But that's okay because we can throw in some gems into the mix. That gem is actually pretty awful, so I think we get rid of that one. But 24 health recovery per second is going to more than make up for the lack of armor. And with that, and the gem we already have, we're recovering 48 health per second on these alone, plus the 4.8 from that, so that's 52.2, or 52.8 health recovery per second, which is really good because we don't even have 2,000 health. So, yeah, so pretty good deal for us there in the end. Did we go with the elemental resistance on these? Yeah, let's do it. And if we pick up a better gem later, well, oh well. Oh darn, we messed up. You'd think people would have the decency not to, you know, message me when I'm doing recordings, but then again I didn't put that I'm busy, so I guess that's my own fault. I'm sorry for not being a professional. I am genuinely apologetic about that. Do we save this? I think we do. I think we'll put it in our stash because it's a really good item for an Outlander, considering Outlanders do almost exclusively poison damage with their attacks. That being said, we're going to go ahead and get back out into it. This video is going to be pretty long, just to showcase. You know what? I am actually going to close my browser real quick. Just stop that. Okay. Now we have some nice peace and quiet. Okay. We're gonna head back into the Blight Bog in town there, and we're just gonna get right back into it. I'm hoping to find a very special character, near and dear to my heart, by the name of Cacklespit. And for anyone who's played this game up to this point before, you'll probably know who she is, but if not, I understand because this is not a first impressions video, but, you know, a review-esque video. It's more like an overview, really, but I'm just gonna call it games I like. This is a game I like. And this is why, because it's violent, it's challenging, and it's fun. And it's just, you know, it's all those things at the same time. The maps are always in the same position relative to the town, but they are procedurally generated as far as I can tell. In 200 hours, I've never seen the same map twice. Alright, here's another feature that I haven't talked about yet. And it relates to pets. We have these things called fishing holes. They have this little mini game that we're just going to do here real quick. We picked up a orange great hammer from the we picked up the Paladin's Fist by fishing in this secret fishing hole. We could wield it if we wanted to. Looks pretty hilarious. We look like a pirate wielding a sledgehammer. In another life that, you know, maybe. But we're gonna keep fishing here so I can get to the point of what I was trying to say earlier. Aside from the fact that you can pick up, you know, great hammers from fishing and gems. This fishing hole has not been cooperative with what I want to say, but I'll get to the point. Just alright, there we go. Alright. Alright, and we got a pet tag as well. And that's usually the kind of drop you can expect from fishing, is anything pet related. But the most prominent thing you pick up from fishing holes is not actually items, it's fish. And why do you want fish? Because fish will turn... Well, his name's Cookie. I was going to call him Fluffy, but this is Cookie, who's emitting a rainbow-colored spectrum of lights there. He's actually just resisting energy. It's not actually that sparkly. But anyway, we can do all sorts of things here with these fish that we have caught. For example, we have this thing called a war snout, which will turn our pet into what's called a war beast, which is it's a similar creature to what our wolf is, but it's going to make him do more damage and have better stats in general. And there are all sorts of different things that you can get with these that do different damage and have different abilities. Like you can turn your pet into a spider, for an example, which will spit out webs to slow your enemies, which can be really helpful. We're going to take this one, the bonefish, which will turn our pet into a crawling skeleton torso. Yep. What's the advantage of this? Well, he's better all around. I don't think we fish out this entire hole, because I want to get on with the rest of the game. But hey, a huge health potion, so that's great. And one thing that's really great about Torchlight is it keeps you busy in between, you know, the killing and the questing and the dungeoneering. And I haven't even gotten to the dungeons yet, you know. I haven't had a chance. I would love to show you. I really would. Alright. Now, you can pick up dynamite in town and just blow all of the fish out of the water, but you tend to lose items that way. So, you know, it's a choice you have to make. You know, do you want convenience and time, or do you want, you know, the best chance possible of getting more loot? You know, it's up to you. The choice is yours. In multiplayer, I tend to just bomb them because, you know, I don't want to make my, you know, friends sit there all day waiting for me to catch the additional bonefish in case I need it. This game really caters to the audience who are really interested in, you know, maximizing their potential, I would say. Which is, you know, definitely one of the better qualities an action RPG can have. Now, we do have boss level enemies here, as we can see. Pressing the wrong key for a second there. The game does feature completely rebindable keys, which is awesome. It normally sets these skills to 1, 2, 3 through, you know, the rest of the spectrum there, and I'm talking and I'm not playing, and that's bad. But I set mine to WERSDF because you're not actually using those keys when you play the game, and so I figure, you know, your hands rest there anyway if you play a lot of RPGs like, you know, say Skyrim or any BioWare titles. Your hand's gonna be there anyway for movement. So why not bind those to actual, you know, functions rather than trying to hit, you know, 1 through 9. You know, it's just so slow to actually try to, you know, reach for 9. I probably shouldn't have tanked that troll. Like I said, I'm playing like a complete idiot right now. It happens when I'm talking. It's, you know, it's multitasking. You should try it sometime. It's not as easy as it looks. And it probably looks pretty easy with how much DPS we have. Now, you do have options when it comes to the amount of pop-ups, but in general, this game is very colorful, and it's very good at telling you what you need. Now, we just killed this bitter sprite here. I call them key fairies because they drop golden keys. And golden keys are going to open golden chests, which generally have decent loot in them, but I found from experience that they are not worth scouring the entire map just to open, because this game is very good about, you know, dropping loot exactly when you need it. You know, when you beat a boss, you know, you're always going to get a pretty good item. Even if it's not for your class, you will get a good item. And as we, you know, talked about before, you can share that item with another class. Okay, so we leveled up here. For our build, we just want dexterity and strength, basically. So we're going to dump our points into those. And then we pick up 2% more dodge chance. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think our base dodge is like 50, like, I want to say like 55%-ish. So that means we're gonna literally just dodge 50% of all attacks coming our way, and thereby 50% of all damage. So we can almost double our health in that sense. The map, I will say, is not my favorite map in the world. It leaves a lot to be desired. It doesn't open like a separate screen like you would, you know, hope. But it is what it is, and you can move it to different sides of the screen if that's what you're into. But it does make navigating a little bit trickier than it probably should be. But in the dungeons, it's not a problem because the area is so small anyway that it doesn't actually matter. And really, you know, there's a lot of exploration to be done in this game. Lots of enemies to kill, and lots of really engaging ways to kill them. So there we go. That's what I need to do more. I need to just dodge more. Alright, we picked up an orange item from that boss level enemy there. Or like I think they call them, I want to say they call them sergeants, but I'm not sure. Let's identify it. Yeah. Okay. See, that map just gets in the way. I don't like it. This hat is really amazing for us. 6% dodge chance and 18 dexterity is amazing for us. So we're gonna keep that item. I feel like I almost clicked out of the inventory for a second there, but the rest of the stuff, we can just throw it in the pile. Nothing really of note. I'm trying to organize my loot here. Could you guys stop for like 5 seconds? I think there's something spawning now. I think we're gonna... Yeah, okay, yep. It's one type of enemy in this game, the infinite spawning type that have layers that they sprout from. It's hard to pinpoint, you know, when I say, like, what do I like about this game? It's hard to pinpoint, because I basically like everything I have talked about in this game. If I had to definitively say what I liked most about this game, and the features that really make it stand out, in my opinion, is it is an exceptionally well-polished, fluid game that has excellent options for both single-player and multiplayer, and you know, almost endless hours of content, I would say, especially if you include the availability of mods and things of that nature. So that's definitively why I like this game, because it's just a great action RPG. And the reasons for that is because it has exceptionally well-paced loot, which is really great, and interesting character classes that each have their own thing. That they have going for them. For example, like our charge bar as the Outlander gives us, you know, the dodge chance and the attack speed, which really just lends itself to, you know, building more passively and fighting that way. But the Berserker class has what's called a, well, their charge bar has to fill up all the way before it does anything. But what it does is when it activates, you go into a Berserk Fury, wherein you deal all critical hits for the duration of your Berserk, you know, rage. And there are passives focusing around that, and damage, and abilities that help build that. So there's a lot of, you know, every class has, you know, great synergies within its own skill trees. And you can build however you want to build, basically. Most of the classes are not really, you know, stuck in one role or the other. Even the mages, if you want to play your mage melee, the Ember Mage can just stat dump the focus stat and the vitality stat, so they can actually be Ember Mages can actually be pretty tough customers overall because of that option. And they can just run up there, and since focus is the elemental damage stat, the magical staves in this game, which also do elemental damage, are going to allow you to do melee more so than you would with mage classes in other games. But if you just want to play them as like a range class, you know, the option is also there. And that's another thing that's great about this game, is just the availability of options. I know this video's long, but I really wanted to just go in depth with this game and why I like it and love it, really. And why I've put so much time into it, and why I will continue to put time into it. It's just a great action RPG, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I feel at a loss, you know. It's the other competitor to, you know, the action RPG market of, you know, this game, Torchlight and, or sorry, yes, this is Torchlight. It's competing with itself. Between this game, Diablo 3, and that other game. Why can't I not remember it? The other game is actually free to play, and I will probably mention it in the description. I've heard it's a good game, but I don't know from first-hand experience, so I can't. I mean, it's free to play, right? So, and from what I've heard, it doesn't even charge. The only thing it charges for really is like skins. So, if you are looking for a free action RPG experience, go play that game. I will definitely mention it in the comments because I want to spread the word about good games and get good games out to people that maybe people haven't heard of. That's like my dream, I guess. So that's the whole point of this series, and I want to get as many, you know, get the word out about as many good games as I possibly can, and get people to buy and play those games. Now, this game is about 3 years old, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't pick it up because it's just a great experience overall. Okay, so our pet's inventory is full, so we're gonna click this button here, send him back to town. He'll be back in a minute 40 with our gold. Right, so yeah, we need a bell. That means we'd have to explore like the rest of the place. I think I'm just gonna go for the main quest because I really want to show you like how some of the dungeons work. They work about as well as you'd expect. It's, you know, the lovely thing about these these areas, these main hubs, is they're just so open, and you know, there's so much exploration to be done with all sorts of different kinds of enemies. And then the dungeons, of course, are more focused with, you know, bosses and, you know, treasure chests and well, yeah, mainly the bosses, I would say, are the best part of it, because they're going to be the most challenging thing. And that's one thing I definitely can say about this game, is the bosses are not underwhelming in the least, with maybe the exception of the final boss, but, you know, it's all subjective, and frankly, if you're playing on the higher difficulties, every boss is going to be hard, so if you're looking for that, it is definitely there within this package. Alright, so hey, we found the guy we're looking for. We can turn off that annoying map. And then... Alright, trying to reach the scrapworks, that's what we were doing, until a cave had made it impossible to get through the entrance. You can help me? Yeah, and they don't even read all their lines most of the time. So, for completing this quest, we get, you know, the gold, the experience, which is really not that much. And then we have a chance to get one of these gems. Now, plus 18 ranged weapon damage bonus for dual wielding our pistols is pretty amazing. Our pet brought us back about 2,300 gold, which is awesome. So let's see. Now we have to go get. Okay, yeah, it's all the way over there. We're gonna walk. I thought about using the portals, but yeah, we'll walk. We'll mow our way through every enemy that comes in our general direction. For anyone looking for realism in an action RPG, a fantasy action RPG, you're not going to find it here, unfortunately. The pistols do fire at an alarming rate, and the shotguns, which are spelled in a peculiar fashion, also fire fairly quickly. And later on, they even get like magazines and stuff. And the final guns you get in the game are revolvers, if that tells you anything, which is pretty funny, I think. But those actually would make sense to shoot that fast. So I don't know. Maybe there is a degree of it in the late game. But it's a fantasy RPG, so honestly, if you're looking for realism, why would you look in the first place in a game like this? I don't know. I'm making a joke. And the joke's going on too long, and now it's dead, and it's not funny anymore, and I should probably shut up. And kill swamp trolls. Ah, sweet Gib. Sweet, sweet Gib. We're cutting through the map, and for anyone with OCD, you're probably getting pretty annoyed right now. Why aren't you completing the map before you do the rest of it? Well, the answer to that's pretty simple. We're on a mission. Oh my god, that did a lot of damage. Yeah, anything we can't dodge just kind of melts our health because our vitality stat is a base of 5 at the moment. It's not very good. In fact, it's the lowest possible vitality you can have. So we just have no health and no armor, but that's okay. We make up for it with our dodge chance and our ridiculous damage per second. Ow. It hurts. Alright, here we go. We're gonna do this dungeon and then after that, because I just really want to show you guys. Alright, so yeah, this is the dungeon. It's gonna be a lot more focused. The mini map here actually makes sense. I would say spoilers, but let's be honest. The story here has nothing to do with anything anyway. It's an action RPG. Does there need to be a story? I don't know. You be the judge. We're just gonna kind of run through this. I would normally scour every corner looking for treasure and more enemies to kill. And that's one thing, you know, about this as well, is the pacing of this game is just perfect. I never feel like I'm not making any progress. I never feel like I'm grinding or having to slog through another level or a dungeon. Because the enemies are always different, and you're always getting enough experience and treasure off of them to feel like you're advancing. And I can definitely say that the late game of this is worth it as well if you're looking for a game with a lot of endgame content. Oh, that's lovely. Did something happen? Or... no, I guess not. Welcome to Dark's world, where we get easily distracted by pretty lights and dead things. Alright, let's just get away from that. We dodged so many attacks. Now, if you're the kind of person who gets annoyed by pop-ups, there are actually options for the amount of text that pops up. I personally like to have everything because I like to know if I'm fumbling. The normal setting doesn't even tell you when you're fumbling, so suddenly your attacks just won't do damage. And you'll be sitting there and be very sad and confused. The way those skeletons just, like, the ghost just kind of leaves their body, that's actually, like, semi-creepy for a game like this. I mean, it's not going to keep you up at night or anything, but, you know. Props to whoever, like, animated that. You know, bravo. Okay. Kill you, and... Now, what sets this game apart? That's probably what you're wondering at this point. Because you could tell it's, you know, yeah, I've said it's a really well-polished action RPG. Why would you get it over, oh, Path of Exile! That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game, Path of Exile. Why would you pick it over Path of Exile or Diablo 3? Well, the price tag is reasonable. You can mod the game. I don't know if there's mod support for Diablo 3. I assume not, because it's Blizzard. But I might just be cynical. Whew! That does a lot of damage. I don't like that. I'm gonna pop a mana potion. And there we go. Boss is down. Look at all that gold. Thankfully, you can just walk over the gold. You don't have to actually pick it up. Otherwise, it would be quite a hassle indeed. One last thing I want to mention before we wrap this up. In addition to experience, you also have what's called fame, which you get for killing bosses and completing quests. And fame, every time you gain a level in fame, you get a free skill point. So it's another kind of progression that is, you know, independent of level, that is gonna, you know, enhance the experience and make things a little bit different. So that you're not just, you know, you're not only having to look forward to level, but you also have the fame to look forward to. And at the end of that, in addition to all the, you know, crap we got from killing him, We didn't actually get an orange item, which is actually fairly uncommon for killing a boss, I would say. Now this is interesting because this item gives us more dexterity, but the actual overall armor isn't as good. And the item we currently have has a socket for stuff, so I think we're just going to keep what we have. This is a really tough choice as well, but I think we go with the 2-socket item in the end because, you know, that's the only like defense we've got there, I guess. Having that plus 14 to dexterity is actually really good. You know what? I think we do it because the armor's better as well. It's going to raise our armor to 250, get our dexterity up to 195 for a base dodge of 54%, which we can add about, you know, 15 more percent too. So that's pretty amazing. And then we can just destroy this and get the gems back. So I think that's what we'll do. And if this kind of talk is the kind of thing that you love, then I cannot recommend this game more to you. If you haven't decided, if you're still on the fence on this at this point on whether or not you want to get this game, that is definitely the way that I can recommend it to you. Now, I actually already have this item, so we're going to sell it. I have occasionally seen some duplicates, but for the most part, I usually find new items every time I play. Not the best treasure chest in the world for a boss chest. I actually got pretty unlucky in general here. But we're going to get the dynamite quest item here. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this has been darkfireslide presenting Games I Like with Torchlight 2. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to like and subscribe. And, of course, pick up this game if you can, or look into Path of Exile as well if you're looking for a good action RPG. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.